Welcome, rabies and germs, to the official NJ Today YouTube channel. My name's McConaughey, and for today's review, we'll be looking at the 2017 science fiction film, Valerian and the City of a Thousand Planets. Valerian is a film I had considerable interest in before its release. The trailers themselves might arguably have been the film's downfall from a domestic standpoint, considering the fact that Western moviegoers are more accustomed to having a more in-depth look at the film's narrative than what they received instead, which was a showcase more tailored to the visual aspects of the film. However, from my perspective, the trailers were the sole reason I was excited for this film. Luc Besson took helm of this film as director, a director with various known credits, including The Fifth Element and more recently the film Lucy, which starred Scarlett Johansson and managed to gross almost $500 million at the worldwide box office. The most comparable of his previous films, of course, being The Fifth Element, a fellow French science fiction film with a hefty price tag to go along with it. I wouldn't refer to myself as a fan of Besson's work because while The Fifth Element definitely had its charms, Lucy left a lot to be desired in my opinion. Nevertheless, it wasn't for interest in Besson's other works or because I enjoyed the cast members involved, although I found most everyone to be proven competent and capable, but rather it was because I found the visuals to be inspired and with purpose. When the Rotten Tomato percentage was released and critics began to have their say over the film's merits, or lack thereof, I wasn't surprised or particularly deterred, my biggest defense being my superfluous argument that it looked cool. I didn't necessarily expect it to be a perfect film, but I expected to be entertained. Critics shouldn't be damned for thinking Valerian is a shallow or thinly plotted film, because for all purposes, the film is far from rich on a story front. The film follows the story of Valerian and Laurelin, special agents of the human police forces, and their trials and tribulations. Valerian experiences various visions and dreams that eventually lead him to uncovering the fate of a low-tech civilization in a deserted area. The film has a scattered narrative, but the trajectory is mostly regarding that civilization, as well as the developing romance between the two agents. The main protagonists are the only characters that go above and beyond standard archetype ideology or development, and it's not like they're actually fleshed out characters either. They both are your standard characters played admirably, and although I wouldn't go as far to say that the storyline is empty, I would say that it treads ground that has already been treaded, even some ground already treaded by Besson in The Fifth Element, with how humans like to destroy everything they touch, but they also have a hopeful undertone. Some of the storyline elements feel important, and like they could have meant more, but oftentimes they feel like they're spread a little too thin. Overindulgence is, I think, perhaps the most readily apparent problem I had with Valerian, but it comes off with certain caveats as well. I really enjoyed the world building in the film. I liked seeing the different world's characters and seeing their behavior and how they interact. However, these scenes are gratuitous and detract away from what I believe to be the main focal of the whole film. Valerian has a runtime that runs well over the 2-hour mark, and yet, if it would have cut the unnecessary fluff away, I think it would have packed a stronger punch altogether, and would have had more time to develop in certain areas where it seemed lacking. For instance, Rihanna is given the character of a shapeshifter, a character that plays a crucial role in the story's progression, but otherwise doesn't have much of a purpose to serve. The problem is that this film has nothing else for her character the very second that she serves that purpose, and from my perspective, it feels either like an unnecessary throwaway character, or one that was embedded as a way to feature Rihanna in the film. I wouldn't have minded her in the film, but I wish they would have done something better with her than what they did. The character is needed for her shape-shifting abilities, but considering this is all they had for her, I would have preferred Valerian just buy a magic shield or something that allowed her to do the same thing, cut every bit of that out, and be better for it. At least I can say her unnecessary character isn't as bad as Chris Tucker was in The Fifth Element. These are what I consider to be flawed about this film, but for what it's worth, I did enjoy Valerian, and I would recommend it to fans of science fiction especially. While I admit that the film is lacking in some departments, I stand firmly with the belief that not all films have to be told with that upbeat depth or precision. I would say that the story is passable, however, it isn't really the strongest appeal for the film. This film has fun characters, wonderful visuals, solid sound effects and music, and a fantastical world to explore. Some have compared it to The Fifth Element, calling it a spiritual successor of sorts, and with that sentiment, I should mention that I actually thought this film was an improvement over The Fifth Element on many levels. In summary, Valerian and the City of a Thousand Planets is thinly pinned, oftentimes opting to depend on visual flair and pizzazz, and a little charm to carry it forward. And to the film's credits, it worked and it kept me entertained. I left the theater more than anything, excited about what adventures could await the characters later on. But unfortunately, the box office receipts show that Valerian wasn't able to even cover its enormous production budget, let alone the amount spent on advertising and marketing the film, and that the prospect of a sequel doesn't appear to be on the cards. Thanks for watching my review. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to subscribe to the NJ Today YouTube channel, where I frequently post opinions on movies and video games. I'm also a writer with my newest book, Catherine Forever of Love, soon to arrive on Amazon for Kindle and paperback in celebration of Halloween. Otherwise, though, that's pretty much it for me in this review, but before I go, I'm happy to induct The Social Network into my great films list. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I'll see you next time.